Imagine a world of endless waves crashing against jagged cliffs, a land where the wind howls like a wolf, carrying whispers of adventure and conquest. In the heart of Scandinavia, a people forged in frost and fire, prepare to change the world. These are the Vikings, and their story begins now. The year is 793 AD, and the island of Lindisfarne, off the coast of Northumbria, lies serene. Golden sunlight bathes its monastery, where monks pray in quiet reverence. But on the horizon, a shadow stirs. Longships slice through the mist, their dragon-headed prows snarling at the sky. From the perspective of Brother Alcuin, a monk, the day feels wrong. His heart races as he senses an unseen danger creeping closer. The Vikings strike like lightning. Axes gleam, and screams shatter the sacred silence as raiders pour onto the shore. God save us, Alcuin cries, clutching his cross, his faith tested by the chaos. The monastery burns, its treasures plundered, its sanctity defiled. This raid marks the dawn of the Viking Age. It's a moment that will echo across Europe, a spark that ignites a wildfire of exploration and conquest. Historically, Lindisfarne was a soft target, rich with gold and undefended. The Vikings, driven by scarcity in Norway, saw opportunity in these coastal monasteries. Their longships, marvels of engineering, could navigate rivers and oceans alike. With these vessels, the Vikings became masters of surprise, striking where least expected. Picture the scene: a Viking warrior, Bjorn, stands on the deck, salt spray stinging his face. His eyes burn with hunger, not just for gold, but for glory. We sail for Valhalla. Bjorn roars to his crew, their oars cutting the waves in rhythm. To them, death in battle is no fear, but a gateway to eternal feasting. The raid on Lindisfarne sends shockwaves through Christendom. Kings and bishops tremble, calling the Vikings heathens sent by God's wrath. Yet, from the Viking perspective, this is no mere plunder. It's a sacred quest, blessed by Odin, to carve their names into the saga of time. Now, shift to Norway, where fjords gleam like mirrors under a pale sun. Villages bustle with life, but the land is harsh, and resources are scarce. Population growth and limited farmland push young warriors like Bjorn to seek fortunes abroad. The sea becomes their road, their destiny. In this era, Viking society thrives on honor and reputation. A man's worth is measured by his courage, his loyalty, and the tales sung about him. Bjorn dreams of leading his own raid. One day, he vows, "My name will be whispered in fear and awe." The Vikings' worldview is shaped by their gods Thor, with his thunderous hammer, and Odin, the All-Father, who demands boldness. Their myths fuel their fearless raids. Archaeological evidence, like the Oseberg ship burial, reveals their craftsmanship and ambition. These were not just raiders, but artisans and explorers. Now, picture a stormy night in a Viking longhouse. Bjorn and his men gather around a fire, planning their next voyage. We'll sail west to the green lands of Ireland, Bjorn declares, his voice steady. His men nod, their eyes alight. with anticipation. The scene fades to the open sea, where their longship battles towering waves. The crew chants to keep rhythm, their voices rising above the storm. This is the Viking spirit, unyielding, defiant, chasing dreams across a merciless ocean. Their courage will carry them to distant shores. Ireland, 795 AD, is a land of warring kings and wealthy monasteries. Its rivers, deep and navigable, are perfect for Viking longships. The monastery at Rathlin Island is the first to fall. Monks flee as flames devour their sacred texts, their prayers drowned by war cries. From the perspective of an Irish monk, Father Cillian, the Vikings are demons unleashed. They spare no one. He gasps, hiding in the reeds. Yet, to the Vikings, this is survival. Bjorn sees the monastery's gold as a means to feed his people, to secure his legacy. Take what we need, but no more. Bjorn orders his men. His code, though brutal, demands discipline, a trait that sets him apart. Historically, the Vikings didn't just raid Ireland, they settled. Dublin, founded in 841, began as a Viking trading hub, blending Norse and Celtic cultures. Excavations in Dublin reveal Viking weapons, jewelry, and even Islamic coins. Their trade networks stretched from Baghdad to the Baltic. Picture Bjorn walking through Dublin's muddy streets. Now a thriving settlement, he feels pride, but also a restless urge to sail farther. The Vikings' impact on Ireland is profound. They introduce new technologies, like advanced shipbuilding, and reshape the island's politics. Yet, their raids breed fear. Irish annals describe them as a storm of wolves, a terror that unites rival kings against them. Now, the narrative shifts to the rivers of Francia. 845 AD, the Vikings, emboldened, sail up the Seine to strike at the heart of the Frankish Empire. Paris, a city of stone and faith, looms ahead, its people, led by King Charles the Bald, prepare for siege, but dread grips their hearts. From the perspective of a Frankish soldier, Guillaume, the Vikings are a nightmare. Their ships are like serpents, he whispers, watching them approach. The Vikings, led by a chieftain named Ragnar, are relentless. They demand tribute, and when refused, they unleash havoc. Pay us, or burn, Ragnar bellows, his voice carrying over the city walls. The Parisians, desperate, offer silver to save their city. This siege, recorded in Frankish chronicles, shows the Vikings' growing audacity. They no longer target isolated monasteries, but major cities. Ragnar's success inspires others. The Vikings become a constant threat, forcing European kings to fortify their realms. Archaeological finds, like Viking hoards in France, reveal their wealth. Silver coins and hacked jewelry tell of their ruthless ambition. Picture Ragnar standing on his longship, the Seine reflecting the flames of burning villages. His heart swells with triumph, but he knows the risks. We've won today, he tells his men, but tomorrow we sail into the unknown. The Viking life is one of constant motion. Never safe, the narrative now turns to the Vikings' exploration of the North Atlantic. Iceland, Greenland, and even North America beckon uncharted and wild. In 870, A Viking named Ingolfur Arnason lands in Iceland. He names his settlement Reykjavik, a place of steam and hope. From Ingolfur's perspective, Iceland is a new beginning. Here, we are free, he declares, gazing at the volcanic landscape. Greenland follows, settled by Eric the Red in 985. Its harsh beauty tests the Vikings' resilience, but they endure. Then, around 1000 AD, Leif Erikson sails farther west. He lands in Vinland, likely Newfoundland, a land of vines and mystery. Picture Leif stepping onto Vinland's shore, his boots sinking into foreign soil. This is a new world, he murmurs, awestruck. The Lanceau Meadows site in Canada confirms this journey. Viking tools and structures prove they reached America 500 years before Columbus. Yet, Vinland's promise fades. Conflicts with native peoples and the land's remoteness force the Vikings to retreat. Still, their voyages show their unmatched daring. They sailed beyond the known world, driven by curiosity and courage. Now, reflect on the Viking legacy. They were raiders, yes, but also traders, settlers, and explorers who reshaped Europe. Their longships carried not just warriors, but ideas. From Russia to Spain, their influence lingers in places' names, genes, and stories. Picture a modern descendant of Bjorn, standing by a fjord, feeling the pull of the sea. The Viking spirit lives on, a call to adventure. What can we learn from them? Embrace the unknown, act with courage, and build a legacy that outlives you. The Vikings teach us to face storms head-on. Like them, we can carve our own sagas, no matter the odds. This is just the beginning of their tale. In the next part, we'll sail to the east, where the Vikings trade and fight along Russia's rivers. For now, let the waves carry you. The Viking Age is a story of fire, frost, and fearless hearts. The sea has carried us far, from the burning monasteries of Lindisfarne to the wild shores of Vinland. But the Viking saga doesn't end in the west. It stretches east, where rivers lead to riches and empires. Picture a dawn over the Baltic Sea, its waters shimmering like molten silver. A fleet of longships glides toward the unknown, their sails taut with ambition. We're in the late 8th century, and the Vikings are no longer just raiders. They're traders, explorers, and warriors, chasing dreams along the rivers of the East. In the heart of Sweden, a young Viking named Sven stands on a rocky shore. His eyes, sharp as a hawk's, scan the horizon for opportunity. We'll sail to the lands of the Russ, Sven declares, his voice steady with resolve. To him, the East promises wealth beyond the fjord's meager offerings. The Rus, a mix of Scandinavian and Slavic peoples, are forging a new path. Their rivers, the Volga, the Dnieper, become highways to distant markets. Picture Sven's longship navigating the Volga's muddy currents. Reeds sway in the breeze, and the air hums with the promise of trade. Historically, the Vikings established trade routes stretching from Scandinavia to the Caspian Sea. Their goods, furs, amber, and slaves flowed to the Islamic world and beyond. Archaeological finds, like Arabic dirhams in Swedish hoards, prove their reach. By the 9th century, the Vikings were global merchants, not just pirates. Sven's crew unloads furs at a bustling riverside market. Merchants haggle in a dozen tongues, their voices rising like a storm. "This is our future," Sven murmurs, clutching a silver coin stamped with foreign script. His heart races at the thought of wealth and glory, but the East is no easy prize. Bandits lurk in the forests, and rival tribes guard their territories with blood. Picture a sudden ambush, arrows whistle from the trees, and Sven's men draw their swords. For Odin they roar, their blades flashing in the dusk. Sven fights with the fury of a berserker. His survival depends on strength, cunning, and the loyalty of his crew. The Viking success in the East comes from their adaptability. They learn local languages, marry into Slavic families, and blend Norse gods with new beliefs. Now, shift to the city of Novgorod, a growing hub of Viking influence. Its wooden walls rise from the mist, a beacon of power in the wilderness. From the perspective of a Slavic trader, Ivan, the Vikings are both allies and threats. They bring silver, but their axes never sleep, he mutters, watching Sven's men. Novgorod becomes a melting pot. Viking longhouses stand beside Slavic huts, and Thor's hammer hangs alongside Christian crosses. Historically, Novgorod was a key center for the Rus, who laid the foundations of modern Russia. The Vikings' role is etched in its chronicles and artifacts. Sven walks Novgorod's muddy streets, his boots sinking into the earth. He feels the weight of history, knowing his people are shaping a new world. "We're not just traders," he tells his friend Eric, his voice low. "We're building an empire, one deal at a time." The Vikings' trade fuels their ambition. They sail south, down the Dnieper, toward the glittering prize of Constantinople. Constantinople, 860 AD, is the jewel of the Byzantine Empire. Its golden domes gleam under a blazing sun, a city of unimaginable wealth. The Vikings, now called Varangians in the east, arrive with awe and hunger. Their longships crowd the Bosphorus, their dragon prows snarling at the city's walls. From the perspective of a Byzantine soldier, Nicetas, the Varangians are barbarians. Their eyes burn with greed. He whispers, gripping his spear. Yet, the Vikings see opportunity. Sven, standing on his ship, imagines the riches within Constantinople's markets: silk, spices, and gold. "We'll trade, or we'll take," Sven vows, his crew cheering. To them, this city is a challenge, a test of their daring. The Rus launch a bold raid in 860, recorded in Byzantine chronicles. They plunder the city's outskirts, shaking the empire's confidence. Picture the chaos flames rise from villages, and Byzantine ships scramble to defend the harbor. Sven's men fight with relentless precision. "Push forward," Sven shouts, his sword slick with blood. The raid is a gamble, but the Vikings thrive on risk. The Byzantines, desperate, offer tribute to end the attack. Sven accepts, knowing trade is more profitable than war. This moment marks a turning point. The Vikings become mercenaries and traders, not just raiders, in the Byzantine world. Now, fast forward to the 10th century, where the Varangian Guard is born. These elite Viking warriors serve the Byzantine emperor, sworn to protect him. Picture a grand hall in Constantinople, its marble floors gleaming. A Varangian named Harold, tall and scarred, kneels before the emperor. "I pledge my axe to you," Harold intones, his voice echoing. His men, clad in red cloaks, stand proud, their loyalty bought with gold. From the emperor's perspective, the Varangians are invaluable. They fear nothing. He muses, watching Harold's steely gaze. Historically, the Varangian Guard became legendary. Harold Hardrada, a real Viking, served in the Guard before claiming Norway's throne. Archaeological evidence, like runestones in Sweden, tells of Vikings who died in Miklagard, Constantinople. Their tales of glory inspired generations. Harold fights in Byzantine campaigns from Sicily to Syria. His axe sings, and his name grows. A saga written in blood. Picture him on a battlefield, dust swirling around him. "This is my destiny," he thinks, his heart pounding with purpose. The Varangians' loyalty is tested in palace intrigues. Betrayals and coups swirl, but Harold's men stand firm, their honor unbroken. Their service cements the Viking legacy in the East. They're no longer outsiders, but pillars of an empire. Now, reflect on the Eastern saga. The Vikings didn't just conquer, they connected worlds. From the Baltic to Baghdad, their trade routes carried silver, silk, and stories. The Rus became Russia, and the Varangians became legends. Picture Sven, now old, gazing at the Volga's flow. "We sailed beyond the stars," he whispers, his voice thick with pride. The Vikings' eastern journey shows their versatility. They were warriors, traders, and builders, shaping history with every voyage. The saga continues. In the next part, we'll march with the great heathen army into England, where the Vikings face their greatest challenge. For now, let the rivers carry you. The Viking spirit burns bright, a flame that lights the world. The rivers of the East have carried Viking longships to the edges of empires. Now, the saga turns west, where the green hills of England await a storm. Picture a cold dawn in 865 AD, the North Sea churning like a cauldron, a fleet of longships, vast and menacing, slices through the waves, bound for destiny. This is the great heathen army, a force unlike any before. Led by the sons of Ragnar Lothbrok, they seek not just plunder, but conquest. In East Anglia, an Anglo-Saxon villager named Edric wakes to a strange silence. His gut twists as he spots dragon-headed ships dotting the horizon. "They're coming," Edric whispers, his voice trembling. To him, the Vikings are a tide of destruction, threatening his home and faith. From the perspective of Ivar the Boneless, a Viking leader, England is a prize ripe for the taking. His sharp mind burns with plans to carve out a kingdom. "We'll make this land ours," Ivar declares, his voice cold as iron. His brothers, Halfdan and Ubi, nod, their axes gleaming in the morning light. Historically, the great heathen army was a coalition of Viking warbands. Their arrival, recorded in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, marked a new phase of invasion. The Vikings land in East Anglia, their boots sinking into muddy fields. Local kings, caught off guard, offer tribute to avoid bloodshed. Picture the scene, a tense meeting in a wooden hall. Edric's lord, trembling, hands over silver to Ivar, who smirks, knowing it's only the beginning. We take their gold today, Ivar tells his men, but tomorrow we take their cities. His ambition is boundless, his strategy ruthless. The Vikings march north, their war cries echoing through the mist. Their target is York, the heart of Northumbria, a city rich and divided. Archaeological digs in York reveal Viking weapons and bones from this era. The city's capture in 866 was a turning point, a Viking foothold in England. York's walls loom under a grey sky, its gates barred against the invaders. Inside, Northumbrian lords bicker, their kingdom fractured by civil war. From Edric's perspective, now a refugee fleeing south, York's fall is a nightmare. God has forsaken us. He sobs, clutching his family. The Vikings strike with precision. Ivar's men scale the walls under cover of night, their torches painting the city in flames. Burn it all! Halfdan roars, his axe splitting a defender's shield. The battle is brutal, the streets slick with blood. Historically, the Vikings installed a puppet king in York, cementing their control. Jorvik, as they called it, became a thriving Norse hub. Picture Ivar standing atop York's walls, the wind whipping his cloak. This is our land now, he murmurs, his eyes alight with triumph. Excavations in York uncover Viking crafts, combs, jewelry, and tools. These raiders were also settlers, blending Norse and Anglo-Saxon cultures. But the Vikings' conquest sparks resistance. In Wessex, a young king named Alfred rises, determined to save his people. Shift to Wessex, 871 AD, where Alfred, barely 22, rallies his men. His heart pounds with fear, but his resolve is unbreakable. We fight for our homes, Alfred declares, his voice steady. To him, the Vikings are a test of faith, a challenge to prove his kingship. From the perspective of a Viking warrior, Guthrum, Alfred is a nuisance. This boy king will fall like the rest. He sneers, sharpening his blade. The Vikings sweep through Wessex, their longships navigating the Thames. Battles erupt, each one a clash of wills between Guthrum and Alfred. Picture the Battle of Ashdown, a windswept hill stained with blood. Alfred charges, his sword flashing, while Guthrum's men howl like wolves. Stand firm, Alfred shouts, rallying his fyrd. His victory at Ashdown is a spark of hope, but the war is far from over. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle details Alfred's campaigns, his strategy hit-and-run tactics, fortified burhs, frustrates the Vikings' advance. Guthrum, enraged, vows to crush Wessex. We'll drown this land in fire, he growls, his men chanting for war. But Alfred is no ordinary king. His faith and cunning make him a formidable foe, a beacon for his people. Now, the narrative darkens. By 878, Wessex teeters on the brink, and Alfred is forced into hiding in the marshes of Athelney. Picture Alfred, cloaked in shadow, staring into a fire. Have I failed? He wonders, his heart heavy with doubt. From Edric's perspective, now a soldier in Alfred's ragged army, hope is fading. The heathens have won, he mutters, shivering in the cold. Yet, in the marshes, Alfred rebuilds. He gathers loyal men, forging a plan to strike back, his spirit unbroken. Historically, Alfred's comeback is legendary. At the Battle of Edington, he faces Guthrum's army in a desperate stand. Picture the clash, shields lock, spears shatter, and Alfred's war cry rises above the chaos. For Wessex he bellows, leading the charge. Guthrum's lines break, his men fleeing into the dusk. The Vikings' defeat is a turning point, a victory etched in history. The Treaty of Wedmore follows, with Guthrum baptized as a Christian. The Danelaw is born, splitting England between Viking and Saxon rule. Archaeological sites, like Repton's mass graves, reveal the war's toll. Yet, the Danelaw fostered trade and cultural exchange. Picture Alfred standing on a hill, gazing at his divided land. Peace, for now. He sighs, knowing the Vikings remain a threat. Reflect on this chapter of the saga. The Vikings brought chaos, but also change, shaping England's destiny through conquest and compromise. Their legacy in the Danelaw lives in place. Names York, Derby, and in the blood of modern Britons. The Vikings were not just destroyers, but builders. Picture Edric, now old, telling his grandchildren of the war. "We survived the storm," he says, his voice thick with pride. The battle for England shows the power of resilience. Alfred's courage and the Vikings' ambition remind us to fight for what matters. The saga isn't over. In the next part, we'll witness the Viking Age's twilight, as faith and time reshape their world. For now, let the winds of England carry you. The Viking story is one of blood, faith, and unbreakable wills. The Viking saga has carried us across seas and rivers, from burning monasteries to battle-scarred hills. Now, as the 10th century fades, their world begins to change. Picture a quiet fjord in Norway, its waters still under a pale moon. The long ships rest, their dragon prows silent, as a new era dawns. The Viking Age is waning, but its end is no defeat. It's a transformation, a blending of fire and faith that will echo through time. In Denmark, 960 AD, a Viking chieftain named Harald Bluetooth stands on a windswept hill. His heart is torn between Odin's call and a new god's promise. "I've seen the cross in my dreams," Harald confides to his wife, Gyrid. To him, Christianity offers unity, a way to bind his fractured people. From the perspective of a traditional Viking, Astrid, this change feels like betrayal. We forsake Thor's hammer for a weak god. She spits, clutching her amulet. Harald raises the gelling stone, a massive runestone proclaiming his Christian faith. Its carved cross marks a turning point, a bridge between worlds. Historically, Christianization swept Scandinavia in the 10th and 11th centuries. Missionaries and trade brought the cross, but Vikings adapted it to their ways. Picture a village church, its wooden walls etched with Norse dragons. A priest chants, while Astrid, reluctant, kneels, her old gods lingering in her heart. "We honor the new faith," Harald tells his people, his voice firm, "but our spirit remains unbroken, forged in storm and sea." Archaeological finds, like Christian runestones in Sweden, show this blend. Thor's hammer and the cross often hung side by side, a testament to pragmatism. The Vikings' conversion wasn't just spiritual. It tied them to Europe's kings, opening doors to alliances and trade. Picture Harold meeting a Frankish envoy, their cloaks billowing in the wind. "We're equals now," Harold says, his smile sharp with ambition. Shift to England, 1016 AD, where a Viking king, not the Great, claims the throne. His coronation in London is a triumph, a Viking ruling a Christian land. From Knut's perspective, this is the pinnacle of his saga. "I am no raider," he declares, "but a king of nations." To an Anglo-Saxon monk, Brother Wulfstan, Knut is a paradox. He prays like us, yet his blood is heathen, he murmurs, watching the coronation. Knut's reign, detailed in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, shows Viking integration. He rules England, Denmark, and Norway, a North Sea empire built on diplomacy. Picture Knut walking Winchester's streets, his guards a mix of Saxon and Norse. He pauses at a church, offering gold, his faith a bridge between worlds. Knut's laws blend Viking and Saxon traditions. His court, a melting pot, proves the Vikings are no longer outsiders, but shapers of Europe. Yet, Knut's empire is fragile. After his death in 1035, it crumbles, a reminder that even great sagas end. Archaeological evidence, like Knut's coin hoards, reveals his wealth. His legacy lies not in conquest, but in unity. However brief, picture Knut's son, Knut, gazing at the sea. Father's dream fades. He sighs, knowing the Viking age is slipping away. Now, turn to Normandy, where Viking descendants thrive. Rollo, a 9th century Viking, founded this duchy, his bloodline shaping history. By 1066, William the Conqueror, Rollo's heir, stands on a ship bound for England. His Norman knights carry Viking ferocity, tempered by Christian zeal. From William's perspective, his invasion is destiny. "I claim what is mine," he vows, his eyes fixed on the English coast. The Bayeux Tapestry captures the Battle of Hastings. A Viking legacy in motion, William's victory reshapes England, blending Norse and Norman roots. Picture the battlefield, strewn with fallen warriors. William kneels, thanking God, but his Viking blood sings of Valhalla. Normandy's Viking origins are etched in its place names: Rouen, Caen, and its seafaring spirit. Rollo's descendants prove the Vikings' enduring mark. The Viking age fades, but its ripples remain. From Russia to Ireland, their influence lingers in genes, laws, and legends. Now, step into the present, where a modern historian, Dr. Freya Larsen, stands by a runestone in Uppsala. Her fingers trace its weathered runes. Her heart stirred. The Vikings were more than raiders. Freya says, her voice soft. They were dreamers, builders, and wanderers who changed the world. Archaeological sites like Birka and Hedeby reveal their trade networks. DNA studies show Viking ancestry across Europe. A living legacy. Picture a festival in York, where locals celebrate their Norse roots. Children wield wooden axes, laughing as Viking songs fill the air. The Viking story teaches us resilience. They faced A changing world, adapting without losing their fire. What can we learn? Embrace change, but hold fast to your core. Like a longship riding a storm, the Vikings dared to sail beyond the horizon. We, too, can chase dreams, no matter how distant they seem. Their saga reminds us to build, not just destroy. Create a legacy that outlives you, etched in deeds and stories. Picture yourself standing by a fjord, the wind whispering of adventure. The Viking spirit lives in us all, urging us to be bold. This is the end of the Viking saga, but its echoes never fade. From Norway to the North Sea, their story is ours, a call to live fiercely. Let the waves carry you forward. Write your own saga and let it ring through time.